Welcome to The Source. Issues surrounding the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority colored the last municipal election here in the Niagara region. Following that election, though, it seemed like the NPCA had a good mix of local politicians and people who were not politicians sitting on that board providing some expert advice. And that could all be undone with Bill 229 as proposed by the Ontario government. Joining us right now, the C.A.O. of the NPCA, Chandra Sharma. Welcome to the program, Chandra.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and good evening, everyone.
This is kind of alarming when we look at the progress we've had over the last little while since that election with the board, and now it could be completely dismantled. You could be left with just municipal politicians sitting on the board. How is this actually a factor? How can this be happening?
Well, like you said, it is alarming and it's disappointing, I would say, that Bill 229 has just come as a surprise to us, and a lot of changes have been proposed in there. Governance is one of them. And you're right, it significantly impacts how our boards are formed. It proposes a stakeholder model of governance where members have to look after the interest of their own organization instead of an organization they're sitting at, which is unprecedented, really. It puts our members in a difficult position to make decisions on a watershed basis. The whole idea of being a board member of a conservation authority and making decisions in the interest of the organization is based on the fact that we transcend municipal boundaries, watersheds and rivers and natural systems.
They don't end in one
They
region.
don't end at one municipality, right? So the decisions you make, you have to make based on the fact that whatever you do upstream impacts downstream. And now these changes are asking our board members, not just the constitution of the board, who will sit on the board, but the other thing is whose interests they're going to represent sitting on the board. It makes it very difficult for our board members to make decisions. They will be confused. So I don't think these changes have been well thought out. Listen, there are 36 conservation authorities in Ontario. Most of the conservation authorities have very good bylaws. They follow accounting principles, accounting standards, public accounting standards. They have very well-educated boards. They make decisions based on those code of conduct and the bylaws. So I'm really not, we're confused. We're wondering, what is it trying to solve really, right?
And this came as a shock to you as well. And it's buried in something called Bill 229, and Bill 229 is called the Protect, Support, and Recover from COVID Act. So what does this have to do with protecting and supporting and recovering?
Well, you just said something very important. I want everybody to know this is a major watershed moment for the environment in Ontario, right? We're changing 70 years of history in Ontario. And it's difficult to understand why this is part of this budget measures bill. Like conservation authority, environment and economy should go together.
Yes.
We're saying to the province, conservation authorities are boots on the ground. They're your delivery partners. They help the economy move forward. Look what happened during COVID, right?
That's right.
We opened our door. We had to open our conservation areas. We had to put our staff on front lines, to help communities.
You were one of the first out there offering people something to do.
And our chair said, Brenda Johnson, our chair said, Chandra, no, you got to get people out, let people in the conservation areas, and because this is needed right now more than ever. And we did that, and it worked, right? We had to deal with some problems, but this is what I'm saying, we're moving the economy. A minister visited Balls Falls Conservation Area. They were tough, and when they opened the economy, and that was the first stop on their tour. And we're saying, you know what, we drive local economy. We provide green jobs. We prepare youth for future, And the other thing that none of the conservation authorities are appreciating, including myself, our NPCA, is the fact that on an environmental legislation like this, you need to have public consultation.
And there is no public consultation
Yeah.
with this particular bill.
Yeah, there'll be 3 days of hearing now. It's been referred to a standing committee. But what we are telling the province or asking the province, requesting the province to come work with us. Bill 108, if you remember, it came out way back in 2019. Some of the provisions of that bill were proclaimed in June, I think, and we were working with the province to develop regulations around that. So there was a process going on, and
Right.
what we were expecting is that we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to work and make things better for everyone. And here we are with wholesale legislative changes, changing the mandate of Conservation Authority, and that's troubling, really.
One of the items that I pulled out of Bill 229, the Minister of Environment, Conservation and Parks would have the ability to appoint a representative from the agricultural sector. Why is that a danger?
It's not a danger. We welcome all kinds of sector, and we want to work with all stakeholders.
But is it a danger of who that minister would specifically?
You're correct. There's a few things here, right? It's not a danger from a perspective of getting stakeholders engaged, but here you are. You're not sure now that agriculture representative on the board, are they representing municipal interest, Conservation Authority interest, right, or agriculture interest? And why agriculture? Why not First Nations? There's a lot of land owners in the watershed that will benefit from being part of conservation authorities, and conservation authorities will benefit from having them. Our philosophy really is to work with all stakeholders, not just one sector. We respect, we have a great relationship with the farming community. We have a lot of stewardship projects going on, right? They sit on our public advisory committee. So when we met with the minister's staff, we said, okay, how about the public advisory committees that some conservation authorities have? We have all kinds of representatives, and right now, NPCA has a public advisory committee, and we have an agriculture rep on that committee. So some of these changes, it seems to us, have not been well thought out.
What are you doing to fight these changes, and is there any way other people can help?
This is what we say. We've been very respectful of the province's ability to make legislation, make policy. Yes, they have all rights to do that. What we are asking them is, we're working with them, we've been calling them, we're having meetings to work with us, right? We've met with MPPs in the area, all conservation authorities are doing it, we're sending the message. And we are working with our community partners and other environmental groups to talk to their local political leaders to kind of get the message across, educate people and the members of parliament, provincial parliament, on what these changes will do. So we're trying to educate people. We're doing our best. It's been referred to the standing committee. We are Conservation Ontario, which is the umbrella agency of all 36 conservation authority, is going to the standing committee. They're making a delegation to the committee to speak to the members. And we will see what happens at the end of the day. December 10th, I think the legislature, they rise and they'll make a decision with Schedule 6. We're basically asking everyone, Schedule 6 should not go forward, right?
Chandra, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in your fight to be heard by the government.
Thanks a lot for having me, and I encourage all your community. Thank everyone, thank our municipal partners. Thanks the community for helping and standing up for Conservation Authority.